Thanks very much, Tanya, and welcome to everybody around the world. It's indeed exciting to see so many countries represented, and I believe we have between 250 or 300 people signed up for this event that has become an annual event here in Denver with the World Trade Center. I'm Doug Allen, a professor at the University of Denver Daniels College of Business. I teach international business and human resource management. And I've worked with the World Trade Center here in Denver for quite a few years, and it's a very special organization, and encourage you all to find out ways to get involved with whatever World Trade Center you're near. It's a wonderful network worldwide. This session is a wonderful opportunity to learn about Dubai and India. And we're happy to welcome Sam Thomas, who could not be more qualified to help us on this brief visit to these parts of the world. Sam is a man of the world. He is a businessman, an academic, a community activist, and I'll tell you just a few things about his background, and then we'll get right to his presentation. Sam is co-founder of CloudForce Pros, a cloud technology project support firm based out of Denver, with support offices in, of course, Dubai and India. Sam has been a senior ERP and CRM software solutions executive with a primary focus on Salesforce.com and SAP for the last 11 years. And so he's had an opportunity to see these technologies growing, developing right before our very eyes in places such as Dubai and India. Sam has worked in Dubai and traveled extensively in India. And in addition to that, in his spare time, serves as a faculty member at the University of Denver Daniels College of Business, teaching courses on global management as well as the fourth industrial revolution. In terms of community activities, Sam has been active in Colorado and the national political arenas. He served as the chairman of the Asian Advisory Council for Governor Hickenlooper for his 2 terms in office. Sam has a BA in International Relations with a minor in Economics and an MA in International Relations from the University of Denver's Corbell School of International Studies. So without further delay, let me welcome Sam. Sam, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Doug. Thanks for a kind introduction. I appreciate it. And it's an honor to be here with the World Trade Center and all the attendees. It's indeed an honor. World Trade Center holds a dear space in my heart, especially with regards to India. A few years ago, we took a class from CU Denver, study abroad class to Bangalore, the tech city of India, and the World Trade Center organization there, in collaboration with Karen and the team here. It couldn't have been more helpful. So again, I'm a big supporter, a fan of your efforts, and thank you for hosting this great event. It's an honor to be here. And if I can start right into our presentation today, on the first slide, we talked India and Dubai, and on the advertising slide, we talked about Dubai and India. So when Doug and the Trade Center group gave me the opportunity to speak on either or, I took the opportunity to speak on both, because I was born in India, and my family moved here when I was a teenager. So I've been fortunate to have taken in the unique cultural aspects of India, as well as I've been able to travel back and forth to India for business and academic speech tours and so on. Then to see the development and the modern development in right in front of our own eyes with regards to India has been a phenomenal opportunity, and I consider myself lucky to have witnessed that and lived through that. And similarly for Dubai, Dubai is a place that I used to stop on my way to India or on our way to US. However, I was fortunate from the perspective of fellow classmates from the 90s. University of Denver had a large group of Middle Eastern students, especially from Dubai and UAE. And I kept in touch with them and been partnered with them some business as well as cultural events, and I foster that relationship. Therefore, Dubai holds a dear place in my heart as well. So when they gave me the opportunity to pick either or, I jumped on both. So that's where we are. We're going to start with India first, with as all of you know, that India is second largest populated country in the world, and the largest democracy and parliamentary democracy. And this little video clip that Doug's going to play will give us a little highlight of where we are currently as far as economic development. Thanks, Doug.
Is there supposed to be a sound, Sam?
Yeah, I think there is sound. Sorry. Yes, Doug has it, I think. It's just a 1 minute.
Zoom.
I'm going to reshare with sound. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Doug. This is all those Zoom little thingies.
By the way, it's just a 1 minute video. It doesn't have a voiceover, so I might speak over some areas, so bear with me. Southern region of India, my home state of Kerala. Dubai. Thank you, Doug. If you can go to the next slide, I appreciate it. The developments that are highlighted in this video clip primarily shows since 1992. As Doug referred or mentioned, that I've been teaching global perspectives in international relations, and that's my DNA. And I was fortunate in 1992 when we were studying at DU, our economics professor broke down the FDI, foreign direct investments going to India or lack of thereof, and the flood of money going to China and other parts of the world. India, fortunately, managed to attract more investments over the years. And most of the development, the modern era India that we see since post 1989, 92 in a big way. And thank God that both of the parliamentary system, that the government switches from left to right and to the center. However, all of the administrations managed to keep it in the same path, the same direction. So therefore, India has enjoyed an aggressive, or I would say aggressive, but a nice positive growth and going in the right direction as far as infrastructure development. And later on, we'll get into further on the details. But this slide talks about how India is predicted to be an economic powerhouse because of the largest open market. Again, it started with 1989, and international trade and innovation welcoming into the country and foreign competition. And also foreign markets opened up for India's products. And what facilitated, in my opinion, and also the study has been done, what enabled India to take advantage of these opportunities, not just having the products, but also the brainpower and the capabilities to take advantage of the IT revolution around the world, is the traditional emphasis on education, especially in math and sciences, has paid off incredible global opportunities for the youth. And as many of you heard, probably know that there are a large number of Indian young people working abroad in IT sector, especially in the United States and around the world. Currently, India has 65% of its population is under the age of 29. The largest youth workforce in the world is concentrated in India. That's definitely a plus for India now and going forward. Next slide, please. So in this slide, the bar graph talks about the where it's been as far as the growth, the GDP growth, and where it's predicted to go in the next 2 years. In the forecast, I think it was a conservative numbers. I believe the final bar, it talks about 7.74. So it's 2014 to 2024, 10 years growth plan, actual and the predictions. But on the next slide, you'll see where it's really headed now. The next slide, please. It talks about, or it actually demonstrates the actual growth surpassed all of that. If you look at the far left bar, the IMF projections for the financial year 2022, and this is post-COVID, even with all the setbacks every country has had, including India, compare that to the right side on the blue bars, the largest growth there is China, 8.1. And again, this is IMF's prediction. IMF is still predicting India to have a 9.5% year 22 growth. So that is remarkable. If India managed to keep that, and again, just a comparison, look in the bottom, Japan is predicting a 2.8, United States 7, but I think there's been a decline or a downgrading of that number. But that's just to keep in perspective as far as where India is and where's India headed. Go ahead, Doug, if you can go to the next slide, please. So reflecting back on what I touched on earlier, what are the principles or the elements that enable India to take such a strong position in the IT sector, the innovation sector, and continues to? This happened in the modern India's 1947 with its independence. Our first Prime Minister, Nehru, he set the foundation for the brain power of India, which is the 23 IITs, the Indian Institute of Technologies. Now, when he started, it was in 23, it's been expanded. Currently, it has 10,000 students. These are the cream of the crop, the top ranking students in the country of 1.3 billion population. And again, as we mentioned earlier, 65% of that population falling under 29. So hundreds of thousands of people apply and 10,000 students are accepted in the IIT systems. Now, if you haven't heard of IIT, I highly recommend you look into it, not only to study about the infrastructure that's enabling India's the growth in the tech field or emerging technologies, but also it could be an opportunity for you. There are seats, as I call it, seats in these programs reserved for foreign students, people of Indian origin that study or are living abroad. So especially if you're into technology, I highly recommend the IIT systems of India, sprawled throughout India in major cities. And many will rank IITs right up to MITs of our top institution in technology. And there are 20 IIMs, and these are the Indian Institute of Management. Some of the top CEOs and CFOs, by the way, both of these programs, they're recruited right off the campus, the graduates of these programs. And they're considered such an elite schools, and they're offered jobs right at you don't have to start from the bottom, exclusive packages and multi-million-dollar deals. Occasionally you hear about the superstars, and I would imagine any one of you, if you're interested, look into it, and it's a possibility for you. All right, Doug, thank you. The next slide, please. So the geopolitical influence that India has become in the last, I'd say in the 15 to 20 year space. This is an example of where India is today. It's happening as we speak this week in India, in the Bay of Bengal. The ship that you see, aircraft carrier you see in the forefront, is the aircraft carrier, U.S. aircraft carrier called Vinson. And there's Australia, Japan, and India all have their vessels in there practicing in naval exercises. So what does that mean? It means a lot in that region, and also for stability, and also for the critical ally that India has become for the United States, for smooth transition or transporting of goods and services through that, the maritime passageways, and also a stability or unified force against terrorism, other rogue elements that could pop out in that region occasionally. So this is a critical element that didn't happen until recently. And it's important to mention that how it happened real fast, which is India's shift from being a non-aligned nation, when India was first founded in the new India, 1947. And in the last 15, 20 years, leaning more towards the West, especially towards the United States. And so these nations are called Quad nations, the four nations that exercised in this one currently. Thank you. The next slide, please. So this is a slide about job opportunities globally. So it applies to all of us, and how India is poised to take advantage of it. And it's not exclusive just to India, it applies to all of us, all of you. So according to World Economic Forum, the top 10 job opportunities are the emerging technology, primarily tech-focused. In the bottom are the top 10 declining positions. And you may notice there's a number 3 on the top list is a general and operational managers. It's on both lists, and the declining in the bottom and advancing in the top. It's because what the Economic Forum study is suggesting is that just being an effective manager of resources and people are not good enough to be able to be equipped with the current technologies. As we mentioned earlier, one of the classes we teach here at DU for undergraduate business students is fourth industrial revolution. We touch on everything from AI to 3D printing and big data and blockchain technology for civilian use, the blockchain technology which is behind cryptocurrency. So this is where the world is headed. 133 million new jobs to be created in 2022. I would say India is poised to take advantage of significant amount of those jobs. And again, it's not exclusive to India, it's open to all of us, and we should take advantage of that. Next slide, please. So this is we're going to transition over to Dubai in a minute. That's our next topic. But before I do that, as an Indian and who immigrated to the United States, I can be more happier that the relationship and the development has happened in India. And again, as I mentioned before, I'm lucky that I get to see it and feel it and experience it. Also, when I talk about India, many people make the mistake of India just happened. It didn't just happen. It's a reemergence of India. India is one of the most oldest civilizations been around, as you know, in the ancient history, the Sind history, Sindhu, that's named after a river, as the other earliest known civilizations around. Then 500 years before Christ, or 5th BC, in the central part of India, we had a university with 20,000 students and 20,000 students and 2,000 teachers living on campus, with the housing for the undergraduate students in the basement part of the structure, sprawling structure, and so on. Very similar to what it is today. This was under the Indian, the famous dynasty of the Gupta, was the name of the emperor, last name, in the Maurya dynasty. And he was the first to convert from Hinduism to Buddhism. And he sent out missionaries all over Asia to spread the new faith of Buddhism. And their students are coming in from China, Japan, Korea, and all Persian countries to India, and the central part of India currently is the state of Bihar. So Indian civilization has been around, and the focus on education has been around. It's the reemergence of India is what we're witnessing now, which we're all party to. And there are opportunities for you to go there, to work, to start businesses, to be a student, And so thank you for the opportunity to talk about India. Now we cut over to Dubai, my next favorite emirate and country as part of the United Arab Emirates. Next slide, please. So as many of you know that you've heard of Dubai being the cosmopolitan, shiny city, the tallest building in the world until recently, and the sprawling metropolis. And currently, later on, we'll play the video clip on the, there's a World Expo happening in Dubai right now that's phenomenal, unmatched, as we've seen recent past. So it's comprised of 7 emirates. Emirates, it's another word for states, and each of them has rulers, and royalty is the, so it's not an elected or a parliamentary system, it's royalty and different families that historically ruled. And the Dubai's case, Dubai has been a strong ally for the United States in the Middle East. And again, Dubai, when I say it's synonymous with UAE, it's they make their decisions and collectively, but Dubai has had the leadership in that because the economic stature and proximity to the Gulf, and strategic proximity for naval shipments and trade, and also for military activities. And the recent past with all the conflict that has happened in the Middle East, in Iraq, and also in other regional states there. And the United States has military presence there. We supply them with weapons and other exercises, and joint exercises, and so on. And we've had staging areas for during the Middle East wars with Iraq, and also in Afghanistan. We've had staging for our troops and so on there, and as well as in Oman. So opportunities to work and live and thrive for all people of all nationalities. That's what really caught my attention. And as Doug mentioned, in 2017, I was fortunate to run a company there, a Belgian-based company, and their partnership with the Emirati local company. And so my responsibility was to run it for the whole Middle East and North Africa, which included countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and some of the other North African countries as well. Egypt was one. So this was exciting time for me to learn about in a closer proximity to the local culture, also some of the dynamics between even Arab nations or Islamic nations there, good and bad. So for American students or Americans, Dubai has been a steady, strong ally. And currently we have, let's see, I believe in another slide, we talked about the over 40,000 American expats live and work there. So we hear about the tourist spot at a cosmopolitan city that it is. I've taken study abroad classes to Dubai, 2 or 3 different classes from Denver classes from CU, and also currently Doug is taking a class to Dubai, and I'm advising them on what to look for and what to enjoy while you're there, both culturally as well as educationally. They have some of the most remarkable university systems there. American university systems are vibrant in Dubai. Locals and foreign students study there of all different background. American University of Sharjah is one of the biggest campus that I've seen, and global destination for people from all over the world working and learning and collaborating. And the total population is 9.9 million. However, the local citizens are only about 900,000. So that gives you an image of there are a lot of expats living and working there. Approximately close to 40,000 Canadians live and work there. And again, you name it, every country is represented there. Every culture is represented there. Every food is represented there. So if you were to go there as a tourist or a student, you will not feel lonely. You will feel right at home. Next slide, please.
Okay, and Sam, just about a 7-minute warning, just to give you a time check.
Absolutely. And so this is a quick video on innovation, how Dubai's innovation being a leader. Take a look at this one. That little circle is their future museum, Innovation Museum of the Future. Take a look.
Despite being a modest size when compared to nearby skyscrapers, The building's facade calligraphy and unconventional shape make this one of the most complex construction projects ever attempted, and is within a short metro journey from the Burj Khalifa in downtown Dubai. Let's begin with the design concept, as this building is far from the ordinary. The Museum of the Future comprises of three parts: the Green Hill, the building, and the elliptical void. At the base, the Green Hill represents the Earth's solidarity and permanence. The futuristic upper building represents mankind, showing our strength, artistry, and ability to create. In the centre, the elliptical void represents what is currently unknown knowledge. The museum was created with the aim of being one of the most technically advanced buildings in the world. It aims to be a catalyst for pioneering concepts and ideas, inspiring those who see and visit the building to innovate, create, and discover. 2021. The museum's 7 floors will provide an immersive experience for visitors by utilising the latest technologies in virtual and augmented reality, big data analysis, artificial intelligence, and human-machine interaction. The museum will showcase how we will live our lives in the next 30 to 40 to 50 years' time. However, the upper floor will showcase upcoming technology that is available in the not-so-distant future. The lower level will be dedicated to child-friendly and interactive technologies. The themes will be centralised around climate change, as well as outer space and the future of healthcare and wellness.
Thank you, Doug. This innovation museum started about 5 years ago with a multi-billion-dollar investment. And their main goal is to attract the brightest minds, inventors, the next emerging technologies into that one place. It's a 7-story structure. There's a longer videos on this one available on YouTube and other places. I would highly recommend you take a look at it. Great opportunities if you're going into the science and technology sector, or if you have a startup idea that you want to spread it to that part of the world or look for investors, I would definitely consider Dubai. Next slide, please. So real fast, Dubai is one of the most connected business centers in the Middle East and in the world. Dubai's own airline, Emirates Airline, has 138 global destinations out of Dubai. And by the way, those flight schedules are back to normal schedules now, post-COVID, and a majority of the population, almost nearly 100%, is vaccinated, and they're the World Expo, and they're ready to accept and host people from all over the world. As I mentioned earlier, over 40,000 people live and work in Dubai and the Emirates. UAE is ranked 21st in the world for doing business as far as licensing and all the other things that comes with it. Next slide, please. Now, this is the Dubai Expo video I want to show you. Take a look at this.
Come for the greatest global gathering in history, with countries from all over the world. Discover the world's most inventive ideas. See devices that extract water from air, concrete that generates solar power, and the most sensitive radio telescope ever made. Marvel at the world's most inspiring architecture. Step into structures that produce electricity, spaces that change shape, and buildings that send messages to space. Experience the world's greatest entertainment with local and international stars, live concerts, and colorful parades. Take in inspirational art, sample exotic cuisines, and witness more than 190 countries and cultures come together in one place. Join the making of a new world.
The World Expo, Dubai Expo, is happening right now. It goes on until March, so you have plenty of time to take a trip out there. Like I said, the flights are back to normal schedule. So in a real quick manner, that Dubai is where tradition meets innovation. I've yet to see a government entity emphasis and invest so much in emerging technologies with close ties to Silicon Valley and even state of Colorado with the space industry. They have their own Mars project. Recently, they sent up astronauts and space travel and close collaboration on all the emerging technologies. So I highly recommend take a trip out there as a tourist or look into possibly studying there, any of the number of universities, almost a lot of the large European universities and East Coast universities, even the University of Denver have a presence there occasionally. So I highly recommend that. And thank you. This has been a great opportunity to talk about the two nations that I close dearly to my heart. And I had the fortune to travel and spent extensive time there. Thank you for the time. I'll take any questions through Doug.
Thank you, Sam. We do have a number of questions that are lined up and ready to go. Some good questions. Fantastic overview that you provided for us. The first question regards India. What do you think India's role will be in the future with further development of the OBOR? That's the One Belt, One Road initiative from China, of course.
Right. India has its own parallel or slightly different. I don't know if there's a collaboration. They're more of a competitive nature a little bit that are, I'm not sure as far as if there's any further discussion. As you know, there are border skirmishes happening a geopolitical way between China and India, unfortunately, on a regular basis. 2 days ago, there were skirmish between the soldiers and there's some death happened. So there's that going on constantly, and there are some disputed areas that China claims that's a part of India's states. The whole states belongs to China. So I don't see them collaborating on the One Belt Road, but I also know there are waterways and parallel roads that are highway systems that and rail system India is talking about.
Okay, thanks, Sam. The next one says, hi, Sam. How can college graduates find an entry-level opportunity in Dubai? Any recommendations?
Yes. By the way, I know I have students from different parts of the country. Dubai price knowledge and the brain power more than any other country that I know, and the opportunities are there. I would say start with a firm that's based out of your home base. I would say reach out to World Trade Center in your city or World Trade Center folks in Denver who organize this, and connect with an entity. Doug has taken a group of students to Dubai, then he's collaborating with the Denver-based companies with the presence in Dubai. That might be the natural way to get involved as an intern or as a beginner, then spread your wings from there. What do you think, Doug?
I agree. Those are good ideas. In addition to that, there might be opportunities to just radar scan around, maybe even asking the World Trade Center to help look for Denver companies that have some kind of Dubai connections and see if there might be a internship or a job opportunity there too.
Absolutely. And by the way, there are modern tools, LinkedIn, all that, and feel free to reach out to Doug or myself. I'm more than happy to guide as you get your credentials earned, degrees finished and experience and so on.
Right. So here's another one. How sensitive is Dubai to Asian geopolitical tension?
Good question. They're aware of it. And I would put UAE and Dubai specifically like the Norwegian countries playing the neutral role, or Singapore did in the 80s. A real quick story. I remember visiting Singapore, and one part of the naval area there, they'll have the USSR ships docked, and the other side, the American ships are docked, military ships. So UAE plays almost a neutral role, and I think so. I don't mean to say plays in a negative way. They play an important role, and they continue to. They're well aware of it. And by the way, Chinese investments there are in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So they have to be sensitive to foreign investors, and their country's open to all of that. So yeah, they play an important role. Yeah, go ahead.
Good, thanks. Next one is India's current political leadership encouraging and creating conditions conducive for collaboration, studies, and/or business?
Yes, yes. The current regime, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, that it's a good thing for India, left, right, and center. They've been opening up for innovation. The only restriction currently India faces the air travel restriction due to COVID era issues. But supposedly by mid-November, that should be lifted. You should be able to apply for tech companies or other multinationals for jobs, and also universities. They highly encourage universities to open up and accept foreign students from foreign countries. I've given speeches to a lot of the university campuses. Yeah, India is all about, as I mentioned, it's going back to 500 BC, but exchanging of ideas and inviting people from other nations. So yeah, the answer is yes, a strong yes.
Great, thanks. Next question is, Sam, Thomas, and Doug, have you guys ran a business before in the UAE? And I'll just say the answer for me is no. I've taken several teams of students to Dubai and the UAE, and we have collaborated with universities there, but I have never personally run a business in the UAE, but that does not apply to Sam.
Yes, I have, and I currently do. In 2017, I was running a smart building technology company out of Belgium, and they had a Middle East and North Africa presence. I was the director for the Middle East and North Africa operation. So I was in effect an employee of that company. But partnership-wise, currently we have the cloud tech company with a branch office there, as well as in India. Yes, there are some regulations and regulations and licenses you have to be, one has to be aware of that you may not necessarily have here in the US. And there are tools or other companies you can go through to satisfy that requirement. The government has lowered a lot of the restrictions in the last 2-3 years. Previously, you would have to have a local partner, certain percentage, 49% or so local partner, any business that you open in the UAE and Dubai. That has changed. You have trade-free or tax-free zones that you can open up your business with very little out-of-pocket expenses compared to other places of the world. Yes, I have, and be happy to share more later.
And maybe just a quick follow-up. It sounds like you're very optimistic about the business opportunities in Dubai moving forward as well.
I am, and here's why. It's one thing to talk about ideas, whether in our own personal sphere or in national or country sphere or perspective. It's another thing entirely different to step up and invest time and money. I get to see another country in that region. The only one comes close to mine is maybe perhaps Singapore, and decisions are made on a fast track manner. Ideas are, checked and double checked with some of the brightest minds, and the government invest, whether in the innovation museum concept. The local sketch there's a competition, the blueprint was accepted and won the award in 2015. And 5-6 years later, we have a multi-billion-dollar enterprise for nothing more than future of innovation, emerging technologies. I have yet to see anyone move that fast around the world, anywhere else in the world. So yes, I'm bullish on, I'm strong believer in Dubai and what they're doing, yes.
Great, thanks. I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions before the end of the session. If there was one thing that the world could learn from Dubai and India, what would it be?
India, let's start with India first, is that openness and the curiosity or promoting of education, the brain power. Yes, power dynamic shifts as we've seen in India, going from one of the most power centers and one of the powerful nations on earth in 500 BC, and for certain dynamics, certain reasons, and lose out that power base, then 450 years of colonial occupation and starting all over again, is that, yes, you need to have a certain balance with the military power to protect your nation, and the key core focus is on education and the growth of the mind. The rest of the things will happen and continue to offer opportunities for you. In Dubai's case, it's hard to replicate Dubai because it's a royalty and it's a monarchy. Some would make the case it may be an autocratic. I disagree, because I've seen it firsthand how the ministerial decision-making bodies around the ruler, how open he is, and how several generations, they've been focused on investing in the people and the infrastructure and technology and emerging technologies and critical collaborations with the West. So I'm a big believer in Dubai for those reasons. What we can learn from them is that invest in what's now and also what's ahead, 50 years ahead, for opportunities ahead, and that will pay off. And again, it's uncompared. I haven't seen that in too many other places around the world. And I've been fortunate to travel almost all the countries of South Asia, Southeast Asia, spend time there. Yeah, so it's continued investment in education and innovation, real investment, money and infrastructure investment. Yes.
Thanks, Sam. And unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our time here. It's been a fascinating opportunity to take a quick look at both of these countries. Interesting ties between the two, and very, very different in their realities as well. I'd like to thank everybody who joined the session. It's been a fascinating opportunity to look at some food choices and other indications of preference along in the chat as we've moved along. And I'd like to remind everybody also, don't forget the drawing. That information should be over in the chat session. And at this point, we'll close this session, and in about 5 minutes, we'll be back again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity.